Hello, everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about infographics. Here is agenda for this module. First, what is an infographic? Why use infographic? How do I create an infographic? And what are different types of infographics? So in this video, we will cover the first three topics. Then next week, we'll continue to discuss different types of infographics. First, what is an infographic? As we mentioned before, there are two types of data visualization, exploratory versus explanatory. So an infographic is more like an explanatory data visualization. So here is a formal definition. An infographic is a collection of images, charts, and minimal text that gives an easy to understand overview of a topic. So it's a special type of data visualization that uses striking, engaging visuals to communicate information quickly and clearly to the audience. So here is an example based on the topic of yawning. So from this topic, we can get a brief overview about yawning and the different explanation or series of why people yawn and what happens when we yawn. So the purpose is to make it engaging, to illustrate a particular topic. So visuals in an infographic is very important. They help illustrate the main idea and to get people excited and engaged. So here is one more example of infographic. So it's based on palm reading. So what does your palm say about you? So you can see it's a well-designed visual to help us understand the purpose of this topic. So infographics have been used in various contexts. They're great for making complex information easy to understand. They can be helpful in many different ways. So like a quick overview and a good way to explain a complex process, display research findings, etc. For instance, marketers, they use infographics to build brand awareness. So here's an example from marketing perspective about social sentiment. Especially it's about online shopping. One more examples. So consultants, they use timeline infographics to present the timelines of project management to their clients. Governments, they use infographics to share statistics and census data. This is from the Canadian government. Educators, they use infographics to help students to develop good study habits. So which is the purpose of this infographic. Non-profit organizations, they use infographics to promote events and raise awareness for their causes. In this example, it's about reducing poverty. So let's talk about how to create an infographic. So here is an infographic about how to create an infographic. You can see there are 5 steps. First is to outline the goals. Second, to collect data. Number 3, visualizing the data. Number 4, designing the layout. Number 5, add styles. First one, outline the goals of your infographic. This is actually one of probably the most important step. So you need to first define that burning problem to help you understand the purpose of the infographic. So this is like the question you want to answer in your infographic. So you can start with a burning problem, which is the main question you want to answer, then try to expand it to some supporting questions, which are the questions to provide additional information like what, which, how, and then followed up by some probing questions. So for instance, here is an infographic for food and wine. How do we pair food with wine? That's the purpose of this infographic. So in order to develop this kind of infographic, we should start with the burning question, which is how to pair food and wine. So based on this burning question, we can then develop some supporting questions, like which food components matter? What are the types, categories of wine, and which category works with each component? So next is a probing question. Why do certain pairings work better than others? Step 2 is to collect data for your infographic. So this is also important step. If you cannot get the data, and you won't be able to work on the visualization for your infographic. So it's useful to do a good search, so you can refine your keywords and try to make it effective. There are also some existing data repository that can be used to acquire relevant data. So this is also important in your individual and group project. Here's a list of data repositories that might be useful for you. Number 3 is to visualize the data in your infographic. So here we are talking about this ICORE method, ICCORE, which stands for the abbreviation of inform, compare, change, organize, review, and explore. So essentially, by using this ICORE method, we want to choose the best type of charts for the visualization on your infographics. So inform, compare, change, organize relationships in the last one is the explore, ICORE. Inform is basically to convey a single important data point, which is inform. So for this purpose, you want to make a numeric stand out with large, bold, colorful text. So you can also highlight a percentage or rate with a donut chart or pictograph. Compare. So for this purpose, you want to show similarities or differences among the values of parts of a whole. So a comparison infographic can help draw parallels between multiple pieces of data. So for this purpose, you can use bar chart, column chart, bubble chart, or bubble plot. So even pie chart, donut chart sometimes can also be used. Tree map, stacked bar chart, or stacked column chart can also be used to compare categories. So stacked air chart can also be used to compare trends over time. Change is used to show, has been used to show trends over time or space. So a line chart, area chart, or timeline can all be used. So a map, a choroplast map, or map series can be used to show changes over time, over space, or both time and space. Organize. For this purpose, you want to show groups, patterns, rank, or order. So for instance, flowchart table, mind map, Venn diagram. So even different types of charts, bar chart, column chart, bubble chart, pyramid can be used to show rank and order. Relationship. So In this case, you want to review more complex relationships among things. So a scatter plot, a multi-series plot can be used. Finally, explore. You want the readers to explore the data and discover insights for themselves. So interactive charts can be used for filtering, sorting, drilling down, which helps user to find the solutions based on their own parameters. But this type of solution is costly and time-consuming to develop. This is more like an exploratory type of data visualization. And the next step is to design the layout. So essentially, you want to create a natural information flow. So existing grid layout can be used to add structure and balance to your infographic. So like 1 column, 2 columns, 3 column, 4 column, or multi-row, or multi-sections. So you want to use a centered single column layout for content with a linear flow. In this case, it's the production timeline infographic. 2 column layout can be used for making comparisons. Multi-section layout is useful when reading order is less important. In this example, we see the easiest indoor plants to keep alive and working remotely. So there are no particular order required for this type of infographics. So you can make an infographic with a ready-made infographic template. So lots of templates are available online, and most of them are free. You can pick an infographic template based on its structure, and then try to add the styles later on. So here's a list of process-based kind of infographics. So you can see it's more like a linear sequential layout. So this is for like a 2 column and for comparison purpose. So we have 3 equally important stats. So you can use this type of layout. So if you have tons of data, so you can use this multi-section layout for infographic. The last step is to add style to infographic design. So you can pick particular fonts and try to make them bold and highlight to the specific words to make them stand out. And sometimes it's useful to use repetition, consistency, and alignment in your infographic. Like you need to repeat basic shapes to reinforce the underlying grid in this example. And we can also use basic shapes to emphasize headers and the list elements. Icons can be added to reinforce important concepts. So the repeated elements should be aligned. So here we want to emphasize the importance of alignment. So sometimes slight misalignments will throw things off balance. So it's necessary to use negative space in infographic design. Negative space is just a white space. Even though they do not contain any text images, it's important to use wisely the negative space to ensure that we have sufficient kind of margins around the edges of infographic. So gaps between unrelated elements should also be taken into account, which can help the readers easier to understand which elements are grouped together. White space also affects the way we read colors, like what we mentioned before, the scintillating effect. So you can see the middle of there's a white dot in the middle of the grid. If you have some white space. So it's important to pick colors specific colors when you make an infographic. We mentioned the importance of colors in data visualization. Here it's also similar. So please bear in mind to use color blend friendly schemes in your infographics. So we can use color to highlight important information and group related elements. So neutral colors should be used to offset bright colors. So here are some color schemes that will work for a range of infographics. So in summary, these are the 5 steps. First, outline the goals. Second, collect data. Number 3, do the visualization. Number 4, design layout. Number 5, add styles. So we can also create an infographic outline from existing content using these 4 steps. So if you already have the content available, like you have the graphs, the charts, the text, the images. So simply you just need to put together an infographic. So first you need to determine the key takeaways for your content, and then determine the title, headers, subheaders, and facts. Number 3, consider the length of paragraph and points. Number 5, include notes for the designer. Okay, so we'll talk about the different types of infographics next time. So let me know if you have any questions.